On exploring Hannah Foster and the Coquette, Journey into American Literature. And my name is Charlie Longino. An introduction to Hannah Foster. So, a short little easy biography. She was born in September of 1758 in Massachusetts, which is then was the 13 colonies. Her family had deep roots in New England, and she grew up in a culturally rich and intellectually stimulating environment because her dad was very smart and pushed her to like grasp new ideas. Literary background, she received a solid education, which was very good for her during the time because it was hard for women to receive education. Her father encouraged her to pursue knowledge and intellectual pursuits, stuff like that. Despite this is like moving on like later into her life. Despite her being a mom, she still found time to like write, which showed how much she loved like literature and writing and stuff like that. In 1797, she published a Coquette, or the history of Eliza Warrington, anonymously. The novel was based on a true story and was considered one of the early American sentimental novels. The novel caught a lot of traction and grew in popularity because women were like struggling in the society and this was like something that they could relate with. The significance in literature, like the Coquette was significant not only for its literary merit but also for its exploration of women roles and the societal expectations in the early republic. The novel addressed like themes like morality, virtue, and consequences of choices, making it like a valuable work of understanding the social and cultural context of the time. Hannah Foster was like her writing like contributed to the emerging American literature tradition almost. Um, some of the significance of it, it was like exploring like women's issues and like historical insights basically. The historical context. So I wanted to give you like the historical context behind like what shaped Hannah Foster basically. So during the time was the Revolutionary War and like women's like roles in wars. So she was going through things during her like early childhood kind of time ish. The ideals of like enlightenment. I don't know if people like know what the enlightenment is, but in the late 18th century was like deeply influenced by the enlightenment. The enlightenment was an intellectual movement that emphasized reason, individual right, and the pursuit of knowledge. Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke and Voltaire profoundly influenced the political and like philosophical ideas of the time. So these guys had like, or this time was like a time of like almost like where people were realizing that they deserved more than what they had at the time. So like art and literature of the time, the in the late 18th century, saw the emergence of like American literature as a like distinct cultural force and became like actual like writing. Like writers like Hannah Foster were part of this literary awakening, contributing to the development of like American fiction, basically. Um, I just like why do we need the historical context? You might be asking. The historical context is crucial to appreciating the challenges and opportunities and the influences that shaped Hannah Foster's life in her novel, The Coquette. It wasn't an early it was an era marked by like pursuit of liberty and struggle of women's rights and the exploration of like new ideas, all of which played like roles in shaping themes and like characters in her novel. So this is a big part of like her life. A quick overview of the Coquette. It's written in like letters and diary form. Basically, she has the choice between Mayor Stanford, which is more like a flirtatious guy, and Reverend Boyer, who is like a more civilized, uptight guy. Um, she decides to choose Stanford and then becomes pregnant, but then Stanford leaves her immediately after that. And then Eliza falls ill. And then Reverend Boyer tries to like come in and save the day and be like, "Oh, come marry me," and she's like, "No." But right now she's going through a lot of mental troubles, and then she like passes away at the end. Um, then the themes of the novel. The novel explores themes of like morality, societal expectations, women agencies, and consequences of personal choices. It sheds light on the challenges faced by women in the society that demanded virtue and conformity. We're going to explore themes in a little bit after this, too. Um, the significance of the coquette is like a powerful exploration of complexities of love, virtue, and like societal pressures in early American society. It serves as a significant work in the early American literature tradition and continues to be studied for its historical and literary value. So these are the main characters: Eliza, the protagonist; Mayor Stanford, the charismatic and persistent suitor, the guy that leaves her; Reverend Boyer, the guy that comes in, tries to save the day; and then Miss Warrington. I can include Miss Warrington as one of like the four main characters because I think she provides like this extra pressure on Eliza to like find the right guy, and that doesn't help with her like mental state and her having to choose and stuff like that. So we're gonna explore some themes. So morality and virtue. The novel grapples with like the question of morality and virtue, particularly in the context of women's behavior. Eliza Warrington faces with the pressure to conform to societal expectations and the virtue of like chastity, and her actions and choices are like consistently evaluated like by her peers on like moral terms, basically. Um, Gender roles. The coquette explores like the limitations placed on women's like gender roles in the 18th century. Eliza's character reflects on the challenges and the constraints faced by women during this time in a like society where they were like closely scrutinized. Um, this personal freedom and social conformity. The novel raises the question about the tension between like personal freedom and social conformity, because like Eliza struggles to balance her desire for personal happiness with autonomy, with the need to adhere to like social norms, basically. So she struggles to balance her happiness with what people see about her, basically. Like, and then I connected the book to, or connected these themes to some more contemporary like themes or perspectives. So like social media and reputation would like fall under the personal freedom and social conformity, because it's like how you're viewed if you want to like leave like what social like conformity do you want to leave out in the world is like your social media, basically. Mental health and isolation. I didn't include this one in the regular themes, but it was pretty prevalent that she was dealing with mental problems, and like during this time we talk a lot about mental health and like how to deal with it, but she was struggling a lot with mental problems. I think you could tell in her letters. And then some personal critiques that I had. I loved like the letter format because it gave us an inside like view into Liza's thoughts. The characterization, I think Foster did a good job at, because like we understand each character and like what their job is. And then the narrative voice, I think that gives us a good insight into what like Eliza's saying in her novel letters. And then like I wrote a couple potential questions. If you guys want to answer these in the discussion or in your replies, that's fine. If you guys can't come up with anything, how does Warrington's moral dilemmas and choices throughout the novel reflect the societal expectations of her time? What do her actions reveal about the limitations placed on women in the 18th century? Uh, Analyze the characters of Eliza Warrington, Mayor Stanford, and Reverend Boyer. What motivates their actions, and how do they evolve over the course of the story? Are there any characters you sympathize with more than others? And then that's all I have. I just want you guys to leave any questions or anything in the discussion board, and I'll try to get back